Today our conversation will be focused on medicinal healing through the use of herbal remedies. I'll be speaking with Mr. Joseph White, who is a specialist in Ayurvedic medicine. Mr. White, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
You're welcome.
Okay, so to start, I'd just like you to introduce yourself, give us a background on how you started in the practice of Ayurvedic medicine.
In the 70s, I went to India and I studied yoga, Ayurveda, and other supportive science, which would make me rounded as a healer. And I came back after several years, and I have been involved ever since then, over 50 years.
So, for those who don't know, could you just explain exactly what Ayurvedic medicine is?
Ayurvedic medicine is simple, the science of life, wherein you adjust the substances to eliminate illnesses so that the body or the individual can be healthy. When I got exposed to this practice, since then I've never been hospitalized or treated by a doctor. I may treat a lot of them, but they haven't treated me.
Herbal remedies are very common in our society. What exactly drew you to pursue this study?
As a child, I grew up beside a hospital in the country, Trelawney, but the practice of herbal medicine was very active. So active that unless somebody had chopped somebody with a machete, or somebody fell off a tree, or a vehicle hit somebody down, then they wouldn't go to the hospital. Of course, the hospital has been closed down now because the people had natural medicine that helped them over the years. Herbal medicine has been, to a great extent, ignored, although it has made serious contribution to the existence of a lot of the poor people, the Africans in this country. When they were coming to Jamaica, they were not told, and therefore they were not prepared. They didn't collect seeds and plants that they could take with them on the journey. They were just grabbed, put in a holding area, and then put on the boat and shipped to the Western world. Unlike the Indians, who were told that they were going somewhere that they will work, they'll collect the pay, and they have to take care of themselves. They carried all their medicines, seeds and plants, and they also carried their priests. Interestingly, that has helped to develop our local medicine after 1860s. But before that, it was basically what the Africans were able to do with the knowledge that they have and the plants that they could identify in Jamaica and how they could use them effectively to keep themselves going. So you have herbal medicine coming down from those days, along with the Tainos who had some things too, because they also had their systems. And then you have the Indians, and all of that now has come to this point that we have a fairly strong herbal medicine.
Do you believe that the use of herbal medicine has declined or increased over the years or since you started formally practicing Ayurvedic medicine?
Herbal medicine has declined through the 60s, 70s, 80s. I think there is more revival now. What happened was that with the advent of the medical school at the University of the West Indies, a lot of people believe that because we're producing doctors here, then we would have enough medicine and we would have a lot of health care and we wouldn't require herbal medicine. Lo and behold, that's not fully happening. So people are now going back to see if they can get information from their grandmothers, from their mothers, and to see how they can apply it.
Do you believe that herbal medicines are an effective way to both treat and prevent lifestyle diseases?
Yes, it can treat. It can treat, and it can also help you to correct ailments that has come out of negative lifestyle practices.
And do you think that would you consider herbal medicine a replacement for conventional medicine?
No, the two needs to travel side by side. The the regular medicine can achieve some things quicker, and in the place of a broken bone, there are things that in regular, the standard medicine can be applied that will help you quicker. Just yesterday, I got a call out of Maroon Town, and the person had a broken hip. Of course, they were 50s and over, and naturally that can happen. And they didn't want to have a metal pin. So I had to tell them, fine, I know you know various maroon herbs that can help to heal that broken hip. But if you were to put the pin in and allow it to stabilize it for a period of time, you would get a stronger joint strengthened in a shorter time. So what you can do is to use the pin. The person was very adamant that they didn't want the pin or screws and so forth, and I convinced them that they need to apply that, and then after some months they can remove it and then be okay.
So there are some persons who are very reluctant to use conventional medicine.
There are some people. There are some people.
Why do you think that is?
Because they're attached to what they're accustomed to over the years. And they also know that what the herbal medicine tend not to fail. So therefore, they want to use such. But in these days where things happen faster, some of it can be used.
So for the past year, we've been living through the COVID-19 pandemic. There are some who say that herbal remedies are the fix-it for this pandemic. How do you feel?
Okay. Where I'm concerned, the immune system plays a very vital role. If your immune system is good, then the COVID will not have the better of you easily. Although you may need to have a vaccine, then you need also to improve your immune system, because we have seen that there are people who have had shots and then they have another bout, and we hear that even third or fourth may turn up again. If we were to improve our immune system, chances are some of these things would not reoccur.
Could you tell me some of the herbs that could be used to improve one's immune system, just off the top of your head?
There are different, many different herbs. Some you may not be familiar with. Black walnut leaf, which I have here, which improves the immune system, which allows even the body to absorb more oxygen from the air you inhale. So you know that's a problem. And it strengthens the lungs too. But there are others too that are around. popular. Some people are using turmeric and ginger, and they're getting fairly good results. So I think there could be a mix of both. There is no need to kill the herbal medicine to allow the allopathic medicine to survive, nor to kill the allopathic medicine to make the herbal medicine remain alive. Both can travel side by side.
Um, do you think persons are gravitating more towards alternative medicine, especially during this time of COVID-19?
People have been gravitating a great deal once they recognize that they will get some results. If they recognize that results can be obtained, they are prepared to make the effort to utilize such systems.
And also, a follow up to that, the younger generation, maybe my age or younger, do you find that they too have opened up to the use of alternative medicine, or do they just shrug it off?
They tend not to gravitate as easily, especially if they're from a family that have not been using such grandmother, mother, and other siblings. And but if they're coming from a family that has been using it, then they will tell you, I don't necessarily like it, but it works, and therefore I'll use it.
So if a lot of them come
Yes.
visit you?
I treat grandmother, mother, children out of a family because they recognize that if it worked for grandmother and it worked for mommy, and mommy gave me sometimes, it will work for me too, and therefore naturally they'll ask for it too.
Okay, because a very big part of Jamaican culture is the retention of culture, because sometimes we find that these things might be dying out. So it's good to see that these practices have been passed down through the generations,
Through the family.
through the family.
I'm not so sure that the standard allopathic medicine has been trying to maintain the use of herbs. I think 50s, 60s, they were part of the authorities that tend to say that give up that and use this. And I think they need to turn back that and say, look, there's a place for such. Okay? Because now healthcare has become very expensive. And if you have natural means by which you can avoid being ill, then you could cut your medical cost. When I relied on the hospital system, as I said, I was grown beside the hospital. And any little thing happened, you take to the hospital. You didn't need a car, I was just walking next door. But I was so sickly. It was when I discovered, in my teens, one day I looked at myself and I said, oh, you're so sickly, you're sickly more than girls, so therefore you need to do something or else probably you will not have a good girlfriend. So I decided that I need to research to find out natural ways and means and herbs and so forth that could help to restore the type of health that I think I should have. And I remember writing to India, and they sent me some information on the 18th birthday as to the things I could do. So I got rid of my sinusitis, I got rid of my high glass wearing, I got rid of my allergies, asthma and so forth, and skin allergies and hernias and so forth in 3 months. And I said to myself, if I had that enrolled for my class at UTech, I'd go to study this. And within a year or two, I left the program and decided to find ways and means by which I could earn enough money to go to India to learn this thing. And by 2012 I was there.
So how long were you in India?
3 years, but I've been several times.
No, I mean, what I mean is initially your
Yeah.
initial study.
Yeah.
And where exactly in India did you study?
The BR School of Yoga and allopathy, Ayurvedic medicines. And I also had some teachers who took me on as an apprentice and taught me how to prepare things.
So,
Because it's different from Western medicine.
what services do you offer now?
No.
Yes.
Somebody who needs herbal medicine for whatever, they can approach me or call me up and I will provide them with things.
You said that you also did yoga.
Yeah, I am also a teacher where I can use exercise to correct a lot of ailments. When Mr. Manley had his emphysema, wherein he could not speak fluently because the lungs had reduced down to around 8%. And he had an important ABC interview. I was asked if I could correct it. And I said, yes, I can, but I don't know if he would allow me to. And the person said, well, leave it to me, I'll convince him. And the day after he called, he said, Mr. Manley will see you, but he doesn't think you can do anything. I said, this is not a faith thing. I use real herbal substance, and they usually work. So I went to see him, and of course I never used any substances. I only taught him how to breathe and how to twist and how to realign his spine. And in 24 minutes, he found that he had lungs capacity of around 70%.
I might need to come and visit you for that.
So I learned what is known as yoga therapy, where I can use exercise to correct a lot of problems.
Okay, so let's talk about a holistic lifestyle now.
Mm-hmm.
What is your interpretation of the term holistic lifestyle?
As it states, holistic. You take into consideration all the sectors of life. Your rest, your work, your breathing, your activities, your eating. It's a complete situation, and your overall hygiene and so forth. So if you are eating right but you're not resting, you're going to be a ill person. You will be sick. If you're working very hard and you don't get any rest, you will be sick. So it is a total balance wherein you do all the various things and actually engage all the various aspects of life to be balanced. And once there's balance, then there's wellness.
How does medicinal herbs and healing contribute to a holistic lifestyle? Herbs and healing.
Okay, for argument's sake, supposing you are, due to your not living in a balanced life, you have gotten stuffy because you're probably eating too much dairy, and so you have sinus problem, asthma problem, and so forth. By getting the right type of herb to remove that and to change your consumption of dairy, you could get rid of that, and you'll find that you're much more active and you're able to contribute better to your occupation.
Yeah, because personally, I don't consume dairy, and when someone asks me, I said, because it makes me sick.
Of course.
The mucus and all of that, it's just not worth it.
It is good for children.
Yeah.
But after you reach
Once
the
you reach
child,
a certain age,
That's not for you.
My cousin makes fun of me with my milk alternatives, and I said that's fine, but drinking cow's milk is not worth the hassle. Maybe some cheese every now and then, but I measure how much cheese I have, so I don't have too much of it.
It could cause a problem too.
It's not it's not worth it. So herbal remedies are indeed important to a holistic lifestyle.
In these days, it is also important. It was important days gone by, and it's still important now.
And spirituality. Is there an element of spirituality and ritual in the holistic lifestyle?
Not necessary that it has to be. There are some people who, because they have learned their natural practices through a certain school, they also practices the spirituality that goes along with that. And there are some people who have learned their herbs for argument's sake. A lot of guys who learn herbology from Rastafarian, believe that you have to call Hanja. Other than that, it won't work. But that's so. So the herb stands on its own. It's, as I said, it's not a faith thing. You do what you're supposed to do and you get the results.
So earlier we were discussing you producing your own remedies. Why is that?
Because in this type of culture wherein people do not understand, to ask them to put together something, they are short of understanding, and therefore they put together the thing wrongly. So it requires somebody who has a deeper understanding of the thing to put it together.
Are all the herbs locally sourced?
No. All the good herbs are not to be found at one place. And there are some people who believe that Jamaica has a lot of herbs, and therefore everything we want should be found here. No. I extensively travel the country and in search of particular herbs, herbs for nervous system, herbs that will help the brain cells and so forth. And because I have to import some of those out of India, so I'd like to know if I could find them here, so that the one thing that I wouldn't have to import. And I can't find some of them. Some of them go way up in the Himalayas, beyond 30,000 feet. And of course, we have no mountain here that are tall, so it won't grow in Jamaica. So, to an extent, you need to run a worthwhile practice. You need a collection of herbs from various places. Some from down the Amazon, some from India, some from China, some from plenty from here in Jamaica.
And okay, so do you manufacture them yourself? Like, do you put them together?
I put them together. Some years ago, I had a problem wherein I had a very good formulation for cancer coming out of India. But it was being shipped to America, and somebody interfered with the formulation because there was a particular herb in the midst that cost over $50 per pound. And what the person did was to cut that halfway and put it in the formula. So the amount that should be there was never placed. I found out that a lot of people who took it, hoping that it was the usual thing, suffered.
So it messed with the potency.
Of course it would. And I decided, well, since I know the formula, I'll put it together. And when I put it together, I sent a specimen to the people. And they asked, who are you? I said, I told him my name is Swami Monad. Oh, you studied in India? I said, of course. And why did you do such a stupid thing? You can't just take off of the active ingredient and expect the thing to be as potent. Okay, so it has helped in many ways as to maintaining the integrity of the products.
Do you go through any local distributors, or
No.
is everything?
No, I treat somebody and I pass on my product.
Why is that?
Why is that? Because the situation in the pharmacy right now, big distributors are actually paying for shelves. They're renting shelves. If your goods are placed on a shelf and somebody has paid for the shelf, it's pushed aside to the back, and it will stay there until it becomes stale dated. Then you hear that, oh, it didn't sell. It was never ever made visible to the average persons who came in because you didn't buy the shelf. So I'm not interested. I probably will go e-commerce.
Yeah, that's where we're going, especially in these times.
Okay.
Things that people are now discovering, all the things that could be done online when it could have been done online.
Okay.
So long ago.
So even when that paper you saw there with all the things, I've been preparing for e-commerce long ago. 10, 15 years ago. That's where, that will be my shelf. You go see that, man.
Probably more effective than a storefront.
Yeah. I treated a few pharmacists who have had problems and more lifestyle problems. People in their 30s and 40s and did not enjoy very good health, although they were pharmacists. And they found out about me and came to me, and I treat them. They got better. And they asked me, why don't you prepare some of these things that we can put them in the pharmacist that I run? I said, I'll think about it, but I haven't done it so far.
Okay, so can commercialization of herbal remedies be a profitable endeavor?
Of course. It can be.
But do you think that it takes away from the authenticity of the grassroots?
Once the persons who are contributing to it, formulating, putting together, because I have to pay attention even to the person who reap the herbs for me in the field. We hear a lot about organically grown stuff, but there's a lot of guys who say that they've grown a certain herb organically, but they use the chicken litter in the field, which has a lot of hormones and all sorts of things. Oh, what is that? I tend to go for what is known as wild crafted, things that have grown for years in the woods, not sprayed, not fertilized, no pesticides have been used, and I get a much more potent product.
So, when you process your medicine, is there any special techniques that you apply?
Of course, you have to apply techniques, even from reaping, that is reaped at a certain type of the moon, where the plant is more potent, and that it's washed properly so that you don't have the dust along with the herb going into product, and that you remove the soil from the root by washing, and when you store after reaping, that you have them put into airtight things so that the properties are not evaporated out or taken out of the stuff.
The significance to you, what is the significance of herbal medicine? The significance of herbal medicine.
Herbal medicine has been with us from day one, from original, and it has been with us, although we tend to ignore it a little, and it will always be with us. So it has a part to play. We can't get rid of it and without getting rid of ourselves.
All right, so Mr. White, if you don't mind telling me about some of the products that you produce.
Okay. Detox weight loss. comes to mind first, because a lot of the toxins that contributes to ill health has to be removed from the body first before health can be achieved. So in taking detox, which is usually taken first thing in the morning, it removes a lot of things from the body that should be taken out. And if you should again take it again at night, it would also cause you to lose weight. So detox weight loss contributes very well to taking out toxins and shedding some body weight. Next item is Rejuvenator. Rejuvenator, as it implies, helps to rejuvenate the body, to get it to function as it ought to. And wherein sometimes we find that we are probably 50s or 60s and we are unable to have energy to do our occupation, the occupation that we know so much about. Now we are 50, 60, we are masters, but we don't have the energy, we don't have the attention, we don't have the zest, and therefore the master tradesman can't earn from his occupation as he ought to. By taking Rejuvenator, it helps him to achieve zest, energy, presence of mind, focus, so that he can deliver. And I've used over the years to do that. The next item has to do with female balance. And that the female balance is an item which is used to balance the female that has gone over 50 and helps her to not to suffer with hot flashes and sadness and sometimes even becoming difficult to cope with others. And by taking a few drops of it daily, it helps to restore the hormones, and so that the person live better, sleep better, and is more enjoyable, can talk and laugh much better. Somebody one day came to us, and a father and the son, and he said they were talking about mommy, and they said mommy was a nice lady, but no, you can't be right with her, she is so miserable. So they were so sad. So I gave them a small bottle and said, when you go back, convince mommy to take some of this. The following day she was here, she wanted a bigger bottle. Okay? And of course she did not work for many years since she got into that state, and she was able to apply and won a contract to go and work.
She was revitalized.
That's for the revitalizer for the female.
A new lease on life.
Yeah. This is an analgesic oil. We like to call it anti-pain oil. It also works for respiratory disorders such as sinusitis, asthma. You rub it on your chest and it gets rid of the asthma. You put it in your nostril and you inhale the vapor and it gets rid of the sinus. As a matter of fact, some people say that it works when COVID fool around them. And if you have a pain in your joint, your shoulders or your knee or your back, you rub it there, and in 5 minutes the pain disappears. It has on a roll on. So this is externally used, not for consumption. And this is a little strange one. This is a small one to this one. This is hair oil for the women who have cancer. Look at it. And they've done chemotherapy and radiation, and the hair drops off. And the hair is not growing back Once they wash and apply that to it, in a matter of a few days, the hair starts growing. Okay. And these are just few of things.
Yeah, for your products.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I've had only one relative who has been through chemotherapy and had experienced hair loss. And at first she was very reluctant to go out without a wig or a scarf, very self-conscious. However, I convinced her that there's nothing to be self-conscious about. Nobody can. Maybe she had that, should be.
If we had that, then things could change. Okay. So you have the paper there which tells you about all of the things.
I do. We can.
Mental clarity. There are some people who, in their latter days, decide to do a master's or a PhD and find out although they were so bright at school days, they can't do it. So giving them the right type of herbs, they can restore.
Just as their younger counterpart.
Okay.
Well, Mr. White, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Okay.
I really appreciate it.
Happy to know that you find it interesting, and once you were familiar with Ryan, then he was fully into these things.
Yeah,
It's a pleasure.
It was extremely enlightening, and it really put a lot of things into perspective for me. This has been Conversations with ACIJ. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.